Because they all bullied Robin.
Yeah, but they're already,
I know, that's why I stopped myself.
everything that they went through.
Ohara means family.
Oh, don't say that. Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we highlight and discuss a new series each week. But today, we're back with more One Piece, which means that my name is Josh Sogeking Michaels, and today I am joined by
Mehgan, Nico, Robin, Perrine.
Nico, Robin, Perrine. Woo! Everybody give it up for Mehgan. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
I have finally transcended. I have finally fully embraced and become the Sogeking. But I cannot start the episode, not this episode, without a good
You're gonna make me cry. You're gonna make me cry.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of what we are calling our Done Piece series, which is a read along / read through of One Piece. Today is our Enies Lobby Part 1 video where we are going to be covering chapters 375 through 403. We finally get to Nico, Robin's backstory. So many things happen in this arc. It was an emotional arc. It was an intense arc, and we're only halfway through. Before we get started, I do want to thank our Patreon members. Shout out to you guys and your support. It's what allowed us to do these cosplays, for Mehgan to become Nico Robin, and for me to put together this Sogeking mask. And if you stay tuned to the end of the episode where we thank our Patreon members, you can also see some behind the scenes photos and a little behind the scenes peek at how the mask was made. It was a lot of work and a lot of failed attempts.
You guys will see. Stay tuned towards the end.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of just break in general. You'll understand once you get to the end.
Let's talk about some of the things that happened in this arc, your thoughts on the first half of this arc, and just what you're feeling, what you went through reading it, and how you feel talking about it now.
I really did like Robin's backstory a lot. Obviously, people were hyping it up, saying it's one of the saddest things I've ever read. It was very sad, and it did live up to the hype. It felt like I finally know who this character is.
Yes.
You know, the mystery of not knowing her backstory was like, it just felt so like well deserved. You're like, wow, I feel so complete now. Like everyone just feels like a team.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. And I wanted to say that too about it living up to the hype. I think that this is a backstory that lived up to the hype in world, in universe, and outside. When it comes to, the audience and everybody who are fans of this series, hyping up this backstory, and in story, it being a backstory that took so long for us to get, it had a lot to live up to, and it lived up to all those things. It was emotional, it was intense, it was impactful, and like you said, it is now, them against the world.
Us against the world, like, you say that to like your friends or someone you're close to, because it really does feel like you guys are the only ones, doing what you're doing. Obviously, there's more people in the world, but just feels like you have this little bubble where the Straw Hats, like you could definitely feel like they are, each other's like everything, because they live together. They have gone through so many journeys together, like, and it's all intentional. Like, Luffy is a big part of who they are now and who they become like later. And it's just like super interesting how this guy who picks his nose when you're telling him I want to die has that much impact on everyone. So
yeah, it's crazy because like you said, it does feel like the world is against you at times. Sometimes when we're in our at our darkest points, it feels like the whole world, not just the government, but the whole world is against us. But you need to take some notes from Luffy, and maybe a couple notes from Lil Wayne too.
Oh.
Because Lil Wayne says you need to pick the world up and you need to drop it on its fucking head. Okay. And I take, a lot of pointers from Lil Wayne. Dude, I've kind of, built my life around the teachings of Wayne.
Yeah, you usually wear makeup because you have a bunch of face tattoos.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
You cover
Teardrops. Yeah, I got a lot of J's on my face. Yeah. J's on my face is another song I'm working on, actually. But yeah, and I want to say too, coming from and doing our Dunkai episode simultaneously and getting to the Soul Society arc too. I mean, this does feel a lot like Soul Society in the sense that it is a rescue mission. They're having to break through layers of this impenetrable fortress to save an important member of their team. This feels similar, but obviously One Piece, I'm pretty sure One Piece for sure came first, but I think this arc for sure came way before Bleach. But I mean, you do see these like homages maybe to stories. A rescue type of story is nothing new, but it just it's so fun to see, and it's so fun to watch, this team of misfits who have been gathered from all over the sea come together to save this one person.
And it was interesting too. I forget the video that I was watching, but it was like a super interesting point just about, shonen and, anime and manga in general. Like Luffy, this is the first time we've seen him like do like a power up, which is like every other shonen anime manga, it would have happened, in the first couple volumes where it took Oda like so many chapters to finally get this character to be able to do this stuff. And I think that's like intentional, and I do think it's like it is just so satisfying that we didn't just get like spoon-fed this information or this scene beforehand, and then it's just like a thing. Oh, okay, it's like earned.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the same point that I wanted to make about how the Straw Hats even come together in the first place. We've seen, we've talked a lot about Robin, and this arc focuses heavily on Robin, but there's also Frankie. Frankie's also there too, and Frankie is someone who will inevitably also become a member of the Straw Hats. And
Spoiler.
maybe from maybe from an outsider looking in, you'd think that something happens to these characters and the Straw Hats help them out, and then they decide to join. But it's so much more than that. It takes place over the course of so many chapters, and the things that they have to deal with before they actually officially become a member of the crew. It's so intense that you feel this bond that's created together. Like you're just as bonded to them as they are to each other. And you really feel everything that they had to go through to get to this point that they're at. It makes it so much more rewarding when they finally take on that Straw Hat moniker and they actually become a full-fledged member of the crew. Oda doesn't just introduce you to a character, have a couple things happen, have a short interaction happen, and then boom, they're a member of the squad. No, he throws everything at them over the course, like I said, of volumes and chapters. And it's just really cool to see, because even halfway through Enies Lobby, Frankie and Robin has finally admitted to herself and to the Straw Hats that she does want to live and that she does want to be a part of this crew. And Frankie, I think, is definitely at the halfway point. He has come around to Robin and views her now in a completely different light, and is emotionally influenced and impacted by the Straw Hats and their actions. But I mean, he still hasn't officially said like, I'm a Straw Hat yet. Yeah. And I love that. I love that about the pacing. I love that.
Well, the pacing too, like just to back to Robin's like whole, how we've known her, like it's so well done. It's because you have this person on this team. Even the way she kind of joins the Straw Hats is very like, okay, I'm a part of it now. Whereas all the other characters had to go through so much to get to that point, like you just said. Like we had Nami have to go through all of Arlong Park to finally ask Luffy for help. We have Sanji, where Luffy's fighting against Don Craig to like help save the restaurant, which is super important to Sanji. We have like Zoro, and Zoro's like, this guy's actually like, he knows what he's talking about. He's good to his word. I'm gonna follow this guy. Chopper, like all of these people have gone through so much with Luffy, and we don't really get to see like too much of that with Robin, and I think that's intentional because she's supposed to be this like mysterious person that we don't know about. And the character, like to this point, she just felt so like close, but yet so far away all the time. Like, and it wasn't, you didn't really notice it. You just thought she was like a cool, character, but like kind of played it cool. But no, she was doing it intentionally because she doesn't want to get close because of everything that's happened. Yeah. And now looking at that and her like finally admitting like, I want to live not just because people told me to, because I want to. Yeah. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and that's, a really great observation. I think you're absolutely right that it was something that allowed this character to remain more mysterious, but also was a mystery that served the actual character and what the actual character would do and how they would act and how they would respond to people trying to get close to them. And I do want to say too, in terms of all the backstory that we've seen, I think that if you're going to rank saddest backstory, I think Robin takes the cake. You know, we had, I think, for me, and I think we've talked about this before, for me, Drum Island and Arlong Park are up there in terms of Straw Hat backstory.
Mm-hmm.
But Robin's immediately jumped to the top of my list. It probably goes Robin, Nami, Chopper in that order. And that's another amazing thing too. This far into the game, over 400 chapters in, delivering a sadder, more emotional backstory than ever before. Still at the top of his game, 400 chapters in, over 400 chapters in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, it's more like with Nami and Chopper, for sure it was sad. Like, you know, Nami had to like pretty much be raised in this environment and then saved later on. Where, I mean, she did have her people still. You know, she was still allowed to see like her sister and, you know, Pinwheel. So it wasn't like, you know, Robin, she was just completely alone. And even when she thought she was with people that cared about her, that was not the case at all. Chopper had other people too that kind of understood him and cared about him. Of course, the whole thing with the doctor happened and Dr. Eanes like, get the out of here.
Yeah.
But in the end, he still had people. Like Robin had no one, like absolutely no one, and was betrayed every chance she got. So it is just like way more of a character like moment for her. Like this was her life. Like this is her life up until now. And she's like older than the rest of them just by a little bit, I think. So that's just like intense.
Yeah.
Like,
and in terms of like all the other backstories too, I think this is something that Nolan pointed out is that, you know, if you really do look at all of them, even though Robin really didn't have anybody, because she really didn't her whole life. I mean, up until the point she was 8 years old, even significant figures like her mother were just absent.
Yeah.
But if you look at all of them, they all, for the most part, outside of Usopp and maybe outside of
Zoro
and Sanji.
Or Zoro.
Zoro, they all had they all had deaths.
Yeah,
someone die. You know, even Zoro, who had his childhood rival but friend die. And you know, it is about what I love about this arc, and it was really prevalent in Skypiea, but I would say it's even more on the nose and more right in front of you in Enies Lobby. It's the significance of history. Right? It's the significance of history and that it belongs to everybody. And that it is about like living your life 100%, being 100% yourself and being 100% unapologetically you, and taking these mentor figures and these people who've impacted you throughout your life and carrying on their beliefs and remembering and honoring them and really honoring sort of their way of life, but at the same time being unapologetically you. And we see that kind of with Robin and all the scholars that were on Ohara.
Yeah, and it's also like, you know, people live their lives like, you know, moving forward. And a big thing about like all these other, you know, characters, it's like, I wish I could erase what happened before. I wish I could erase my past. I wish I could do it all over again. But like, you're not respecting like history. Like Robin can't forget her past, because then who would she be now? Like it all just like plays into like the past and history, like all of it's intertwined, and how you have to use your past to be a better. Yeah.
100%. I mean, this is, and again, we're only halfway through the first part of this arc, but this is also, in terms of saddest backstory, in terms of arcs, this is up there. And I understand that Water 7 was all built up, and Water 7, you know, you can't have Enies Lobby has a lot of payoff. And you can't have Enies Lobby without Water 7, which is also kind of the first time this has happened in One Piece as well, where an arc doesn't just reset and seem like it's either a new member or a new situation, and they're about to square one, and they're starting this, they're getting into this new situation. This is a continuation of a situation, and I understand that you can't have one without the other, and I understand that Water 7 is setting up Enies Lobby, and Enies Lobby is all payoff. But I love Enies Lobby. And when people talk about Water 7, Enies Lobby, I mean, for me, it's Enies Lobby all day. And I'm only halfway through it as of this recording.
Yeah. It's super, I mean, all of One Piece we've read so far has been very, to a degree, like, you know, like cinematic, and like in the flow. Like I just feel like Enies Lobby is like, you know, nonstop. Like I'm watching an action movie. Like, and it's not necessarily all the action. We do get Robin's backstory, which is a great little break. And then at the end where we're at right now, we get that like, you know, comedic back and forth between characters, which is awesome. So it's not all heavy stuff, but it's just like such a great mix where you don't even notice that it's like kind of shifting a certain way or like intentionally doing something to move the story along. It just feels like this is happening. This is actually happening. It's showing you the map of Enies Lobby and where everyone's at and what they're doing and all of these characters that you would think that you'd get so like mixed up with and you wouldn't be able to keep track. Like it's just given to you and you're like, wow.
Like, yeah, you really do get a sense of the space, the people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feel like anybody amongst all the masses, it doesn't really feel like anybody's getting lost. You're able to still remember and recognize everybody. And that's a tribute to the writing, the character designs, like just all of it. Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, well, let's just start going through it. We've been gushing about it long enough. So where we left off, and this is another thing too, this arc starts on a very impactful line. The first page is extremely impactful, and it's Frankie and Robin. They're still on the sea train, and Frankie tells Robin that existing is not a crime, that just her existence is not a crime, which is
big line, because she's literally always had a bounty on her head since she's been 8 years old.
Yeah.
So you would think that living would be a crime. You are technically committing a crime by living, but you know, Frankie has kind of been doing that too by having these blueprints. So no pun intended, but they're kind of in the same boat.
Oh, they're in the same boat.
Am I ship right or am I ship wrong, ladies and gentlemen?
They're on the same train technically. But we were also on the same train of thought.
We were.
Because I wasn't going to make that joke, but I just wanted to make the train of thought pun.
And you trampled. And you trampled over mine.
Sogeking!
Sogeking!
No, but you're absolutely right.
Love it.
About that. I think Frankie has given himself permission. Frankie has finally, after everything, after the Tom incident, like you said in the last episode, that he obviously felt incredibly guilty about everything that happened to Tom and probably even blamed himself for everything that happened to Tom. But I feel like he's on the other side of it. He still blames himself, but he has healed, and he has, I think, given himself the permission to live, to exist.
Well, exactly. But at the same time, like with him, a difference between him and Robin is that everyone was telling Robin, you know, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Because it's illegal. You can't do that. You can't say that. Whereas Tom was like, you know, own up to the ships that you made, even though they could get in the wrong hands. Like, don't feel bad about it. Like, you made this. Like, be proud of this. Whereas everyone else, even the archaeologists, were like, hey, you know, that they didn't even tell her, like, what a great job. Like, how great of you're so young and yet you know how to read palm glyphs. Like, that's such a crazy achievement. Like, good for you. They were like, you can't tell anyone else this. And if you tell anyone else this, then you're not going to be able to come back here.
Yeah.
Like, she never got, like, I mean, aside from her mom, but one person, her whole life, telling her, like, wow, what a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas Luffy and everyone else in the Straw Hats is, like, consistently and always giving her, like, congratulations because she is a freaking goat and she needs to be treated like one.
Yeah. She's a goat.
I'm done.
She's a bad bitch. And
I'm gonna kill all those kids on Ohara. Oh, wait.
Why would you even say that?
They're gone.
Why would you even joke like that?
Because they all bullied Robin.
Yeah, but they're already, I mean.
I know, that's why I stopped myself.
Everything that they went through.
Ohara means family.
Oh, don't say that. But yeah, absolutely. And coming from Frankie, I think Frankie being the one that delivers that line, I mean, you know it means something when Frankie's saying it because of his life experience and his road to where he's at in this position.
Frankly?
In this train car.
Frankly, I think you're right.
Thank you. You're really killing it with the puns, dude, and it's really starting to make me feel like I need to step my game up. Okay, so expect some fire puns coming
my
this
God.
episode, dude. I was coming into
See,
this
you don't
episode.
want to do it from your heart, though. That's
I
the
don't.
problem.
I don't.
That's the problem.
I don't.
You have to have it in your heart.
Everything's a competition. And you know what? I'll see train you at the end of this episode.
That was good. No,
I don't know. It sounded
see,
kind of.
I'll see train. Oh,
Well,
no,
yeah.
yeah, see. I get it. No, that was good.
No, you're right. It needs to come from the heart.
Mhm.
Because like you said, Ohara does mean family.
Yeah, it does.
And I really liked that one. Frankie tells her that, and then the gang, we cut back to the gang, the Straw Hats, and, the Straw Hats have everybody with them, although they're not all together. They're all kind of split up, right? You got the Straw Hats, you got the Frankie family, you got Galila, or the remaining members of Galila, you got Kokoro, Chimney, you got everybody, but they're all split up into two parts, basically. And actually, this is a point, a nitpick, a critique maybe, that we've had previously, or that I've had previously, but it's something that I finally feel like I understand 100% and now have grown to love. A couple things, actually. One about Luffy that we're going to talk about a little bit later. I do love Luffy. Not as much as I love other Straw Hats, but I do love him. But there's something that he does here. And then again, for the first time in this arc, it felt different. There was like a charm to it this time. But I finally understand the intention of splitting them up constantly outside of it just being so that everybody can get a story moment and it not feel overcrowded. I finally realized that it is because when they finally do get together, when they finally do all come together as one, it means something. And they are a force to be reckoned with. Like when you see all of them do everything that they do on their own, it might be frustrating because they're a crew and you want to see them do things together. But they're together so, like, they're not together very often, so that when they are, you really feel it. It makes it way more epic, and it makes it an event. Like, oh, shit.
We kind of felt that, too. I mean, Nami and Robin weren't there, but we kind of felt that with all the boys going to go defend Usopp, at the Frankie house. Like, we were like, oh, they're going to stand no chance. They're done. Everyone's done. And that's what most of this felt like. Luffy was really throwing these fools around like dolls. He was throwing them around like he owned the place. Like he did not, they're like ants to him. And we see that awesome move. I don't know if we're there yet, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like Luffy just is, all of them are just on a different level. And we totally see that now. And they're even getting stronger.
Yeah.
Like they're not at their full potential yet. Like no way.
Yeah, no way. They've come a long way and they still got a long way to go, which is terrifying.
Yeah, they're really like, the jokes about them being like not human are so funny to me.
Yeah.
Because like obviously we have, Chopper who is not human, but he ate the human fruit. So he's like half? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, he's like me, dude. I'm a halfie. I'm half. I ate the I either ate the Mexican fruit or the white fruit. And
gringo.
The white fruit, dude. I was full Mexican, and then I ate the white fruit, and now I'm half white, half Mexican, and that's how that happened.
Funny.
That's how I came into existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I mean, it is crazy to see how much stronger they've gotten in such a short amount of time. Even from just, I feel like the beginning of Water 7 to now, they're like in a completely different bracket. Completely different bracket.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, Luffy kind of, we'll get there, but he kind of just explains, like, I had to get to another level.
Exactly,
like,
and there was a reason for it, too.
Yeah, so that was, all of them are just awesome, and how impactful scenes of them all together, like, especially the reason why they're all together, just really, it feels so real, and it feels so right.
Yeah. After that, and we're going to kind of power through. There's a lot that happens. We're going to power through some of the moments that are great moments, but it's to give more time to, I think, moments that, warrant a longer conversation. Robin and Frankie arrive and CP9, Cypher 9 arrive at Enies Lobby. And this is the first time we get to see Enies Lobby. And it is what looks to be a floating island, but it is a, extension of land that has like this spherical mass of land around it,
it looks
attached to the side of a cliff.
It looks like a Super Smash freaking brawl.
Oh, it does looks like a level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah, I don't know which side. I think maybe it's Zelda.
Kind of does, yeah, because it's got the waterfall and everything too.
And it's like floating.
Yeah. And behind the waterfall or somewhere behind the towers and the courthouses or whatever is this. It's massive doors that look like the sky. I mean, it just looks like it takes up it looks like they go to the heavens. I mean, these things are massive, and they have the sign of the world government on the front of it.
We know why they're massive, because the people guarding it are no teeny tiny people.
Well, yeah, but even them,
they're still
that door is massive compared to them, dude.
Maybe it's trying to compensate for something.
Maybe the door is trying to compensate for something. I feel like the Colossal Titan could just freaking even the Colossal Titan could go through those doors and have like multiple head. There could be 3 Colossal Titans in a trench coat.
Okay, that's crazy.
And they could have a trench coat and a little hat on.
I think it's meant for compensation, because it's like, it's just the world government. They're trying to act big and bad all the time. They're stronger than they are. So they put up this gate thinking everyone would not want to go through it and be, oh my God, it's huge. I can't scale this, but you can.
Because then on the other side, there's just like
there's asshats running it.
Well, I mean,
that's
what I'm saying. Like, you think that they're going to be these big, intimidating doors, and you get on the other side, and it's just like a guy behind a desk.
Yeah, a guy behind a desk with a freaking snail off the hook.
With a snail off the hook.
Okay, cool. Spandam.
Yeah, cool, Spandam.
Cool, you're awesome.
And that shot of them getting there and really seeing the layout for the first time is really cool. It cuts back to Spandam and the rest of Cypher Pole 9. We finally get to see the other members that we haven't met yet, which is Jabra, Kumadori, and Fukuro. Fukuro is Nightmare Fuel. I thought Wands or Waynes or whatever. I thought he was Nightmare Fuel. But now it's between him and Fukuro, dude, and I don't know.
Fukuro don't fuck around.
Yeah, that's for dang sure.
Nasty zipper mouth.
Yeah, he's so gross, dude. Can you imagine if like Waynes and him copulated, had an offspring?
Copulated?
Isn't that how you could say another way of how you could say that they fucked? They made a baby? Can you imagine though, dude? I mean, that thing would be the scary, or it
might be the cutest thing.
It might be the most beautiful baby in the world.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Jeans are hidden things. You don't know what's going to come out.
Yeah, I find stuff in my jeans all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, money and stuff that I forgot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spare change.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. But this is a really cool moment because Spandam's there, and Spandam you really realize how little control Spandam has over these guys. Like, Lucci even says, like, the only reason I'm listening to you, I listen to you, and I'll do whatever you tell me to do, but it's because the government has recognized you as the person in this place. But the moment that you're not, or the moment that I'm above, like, I don't respect you at all. I don't really care about you at all. It's just, this is the way that the system of power is in place, so, It's
the only time I've agreed with Lucci. Yeah, the Spandam, everyone, all the homies hate Spandam.
All the homies hate Spandam.
He's just the worst. And he's Spandum.
Yeah, he's Spandum. He's a Spandum dumbass. Yeah. Then it cuts back to before, and I think this is going to be a really cool and interesting thing to get into later. This is before they kind of rank their powers, but I do want to talk about that when we get there. But it cuts back to the sea train, and we see the Sogeking, or Sniper King, as Viz likes to call it, introducing himself to the entire crew, because he had only up until that point interacted with Sanji and Frankie.
Which immediately knew who it was.
100%.
Yeah, they're like on top of the train. He's like, "Hey, I'm from Sniper," and they're like, "Okay, Usopp, just humor him, please."
But here, this joke is, I think, done again, but amplified, and Oda's really taking advantage of the paneling and the medium of manga. And there's a moment where they do it in the anime too, but I think it's just so much funnier in the manga, where Sogeking introduces himself to everybody. There's thought bubble. Everybody has thought bubbles popping up, and they're just like, that's the guy that came to the shipyard, or that's the guy who came to the Frankie house, or hey, that's the guy that was with, the Straw Hats earlier. And then Nami and Zoro are like, why is Usopp wearing the mask? And then Nami's like, I'm glad Usopp's okay.
Yeah, I love that. Everyone's like questioning it, and Nami's like, I'm just glad he's okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I wanted.
And then you have Chopper and Luffy losing their minds.
Of course. Chopper's like, can I get an autograph, please? Yeah. He's like, where are you from? And he's like, Cyber Village. Where is that at? It's in your heart. And Nami's like, where is that? But I was thinking too, like, maybe that's intentional.
What's intentional?
That Chopper and Luffy, of course they're dumber. They're a little dumb. Mm-hmm. But maybe because Usopp impacted them to the most out of all the Straw Hats when he left, that's why he wouldn't.
They're in the most denial. That'd be really sad. That'd take a really funny joke and make it really sad. Not saying it ain't possible though.
Hey, I'm Nico Robin today, okay?
Yeah.
My life is sad.
Well, yeah, but you want to live.
Ikitai!
Yeah. Then they realize they need to come up with a plan to get through Enies Lobby. Paulie draws them up a map, which isn't a perfect map, but it's a lot better than Kokoro's map, okay?
A lot better. And she's drunk the whole time.
Yeah, and I love Kokoro more and more and more and more and more.
She's goated now.
After this part, dude, she really is goated for sure. Paulie draws them up a map. They come up with a plan. They take time to come up with a plan, and this is what I was talking about when Luffy just sits there, nods, agrees to everything, and then immediately just jumps the gun, storms out of the train, and ambushes Enies Lobby. He's done this every time. Of course he's done it every time. And, you know, again, I like Luffy. He's not my favorite Straw Hat, but I like him a lot. And every other time he's done this, it has been a thing of like, oh, well, there he goes again. But this time, there was something that felt charming about it. I don't know if it's because he was doing it to save Nico Robin. I don't know if it's because his reason for doing it was like, I'm trying to get to this person and save them as fast as possible, which is, I think, what he's always trying to do. But something about him doing it this time felt so charming and felt so just like Luffy, and I loved it.
I mean, that's a part of it too, like him going after Robin as soon as possible. It's kind of what he does later on when everyone kind of splits up again. But I think why it's getting more and more charming, I guess, is because, you know, like everyone says, like Luffy's a man of action, not of words. So you're going to give him a plan and he's not going to wait around for things to happen. He's going to go execute it. And I think that's also to say that, you know, he wants to be the one in the front lines because he knows that he is, you know, probably the strongest out of the crew.
Yeah.
With his powers and stuff. So, you know, you see him getting surrounded by like 1,000 men.
Yeah.
Like it might be different if it was like, you know, Nami and Sanji or, you know, Zoro and Chopper. Like, I just feel like he knows like how strong he is. So he wants to put himself on the front lines every time to like help everyone else kind of in the back reins. Yeah.
And I think, more importantly too, like you said, and has been said about him before, is he is a man of action. He does not have time to dilly-dally. Everything else that everybody does are like pleasantries, and he doesn't have time for that when it comes to his friends or people that he cares about. Cuts back to Spandam and CP9 again, and there's a really funny kind of ongoing joke as Luffy is storming Enies Lobby, plowing through all of these guards. One of them makes a call to Spandam and tells him that Straw Hat Luffy is here, which I love that Straw Hat Luffy has this like intimidating, scary reputation now, a reputation that precedes him. Says that Straw Hat Luffy is here and he's mowed through like 400, 500 people. And, you know, I think they say, actually in the manga, in Viz, they say casualties, but I think it just means people that he's defeated, not necessarily killed. But,
well, casualties doesn't mean
I always
killed.
Associate it, though. I always associate it with
casualties
death.
Means like hurt.
I associate it with death.
Because you'd have like 59 dead.
And then whatever
casualties.
I just associate it with death, dude.
Okay.
You know, anyway,
okay.
I don't care what Webster says.
I
don't care what Miriam says.
Who's Miriam?
Isn't it Merriam-Webster?
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? But thank you. So yeah, and so he calls Spandam on the snail transponder. Spandam picks up and he's like, "What are you talking about? 400? What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Actually, it's more like 5." And he's gonna go say 500. It's more like 5, and then Luffy takes him out, and Spandam on the other end here is like, oh, just 5. Like Straw Hat Luffy's just been able to take out 5 people. And I think the reason that he thinks that and he feels so confident in that is because nobody in their right mind has ever dared to do this.
Mm-hmm.
No pirate crew would ever even think of storming Enies Lobby. Mostly because they don't really want the smoke, the heat.
They don't want the smoke, and they kind of mentioned it, I think, even before, and then in this arc too, like, you know, no one has ever not been guilty coming into Enies Lobby, like going to, what's the word for it? Where's the place that they're going to? Gosh, I forget what it's
okay.
called.
It's one of the courthouses, or one of the paths.
The area that, like, there's no, you know, like, system. You're just immediately put in this place and you're tortured or like just in jail. But that's why no one, like, there's no you know, like, proper way to send them off. Like, there's no, like, they can't move forward. That's why they're like, why would I even try to go save one of our friends? We're gonna get caught too. We're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, you know, you're this is a first time offense. You can go.
Yeah.
Like, no one leaves.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why. I mean, nobody would ever think to do it. They're off doing their own thing, and it's a death sentence to anybody who goes there. It's almost like, you know, we'll remember you, and we'll remember you fondly, but bye.
Bye forever. Bye.
So Spandam doesn't think that not only has anybody ever done it, but Spandam doesn't think that if anybody ever did it, they'd get very far, especially Straw Hat Luffy. But that is where he lingers for like a long time, which I think makes the joke so much funnier. He stays in this like mindset, which is what like gives him the confidence to be so arrogant that Luffy this whole time has only taken out 5 people, which I think is very funny moving forward because the snail call is off the hook. And so people keep trying to call him, but they can't get through to him. Then it cuts back to everybody kind of trying their best to storm the doors. There are multiple gates that they have to get through. Luffy's just kind of hopping over things, but everybody else has to kind of get through the gate. They're able to get through, I think, the first one, and I think it's either at the first one or the second one. They come across 2 guards, which are giants, Kashi and Omio, who are really, really cool characters. Initially, when you first are introduced to them, you know, you think they're giants. We've seen giants before. They're just bad giants, but they actually end up being such a cool part and such a way to expand. And then also just kind of like a mirror to, you know, who we meet later, which is Jaguar S. Saul. Yeah.
So it's like these 3 giants had all the same experience kind of with the world government, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And they of course have different stories, but like how they're using these people of power, again, the world government lying to them and trying to get them on their side, not necessarily because they're doing stuff right. Yeah.
No, yeah. And then that's what they do. They lie to people who they think are of significant power.
Of use.
And to use them, however they see fit, which is very, very gross and a little too real for me. Then they are kind of wrapped up in the fight. And then it cuts back to CP9 testing their powers on this Fukuro character. So I guess what he's able to do is when they attack him, they each strike him, he is able to discern their power level, which is really cool because we've always had this like ambiguous gauge of these villains' power, but now it's said explicitly where they rank amongst each other. So later on, when the Straw Hats like pair off with certain groups of them, you know kind of what they're up against. And you kind of know that if they're able to defeat this person of this power level, then that must mean they're at least a little bit above that person. So you kind of end up, or should be able to, by the end of it, end up with your own kind of ranking system and power level for even the Straw Hats.
I mean, what's his name?
Fukuro.
I mean, they should just tie up Fukuro and then all of them hit him. And then
hit him once.
Hit him with the one time.
Yeah, because he's like that. He's really like the arcade game that you'll go with the big hammer.
Exactly, and
he's
they
really
can
like
all, you know, it's like a scale. You know, they all need a checkup.
Yeah. They should tie him up at the end. and then just punch him.
Beat the shit out of him.
Well, beat the shit out of him, yeah. But like at least get one big, hit in the hardest they can hit.
Yeah.
Which for some of them, could destroy freaking cities. So I mean,
Yeah.
And then he could just tell him like, oh, you're like 3,000.
Over 9,000.
Yeah, over 9,000. And I think this is going to be, really important. We get about halfway through some of these fights later on, but I have them noted so that we can like look back at them later. And I just think it's interesting to remember that Lucci's number 1 for sure. Lucci's the strongest. Under him is Kaku, then it's Jabra, then it's Blueno at number 4, then it's Kumadori at number 5, Fukuro at number 6, and Khalifa the weakest. The weakest link. Goodbye.
The weakest link. You're the weakest link.
Yeah.
Goodbye. But it is like interesting that they do this level up system, and then 2 of the characters get like a power up essentially. So we don't even know where they're at now.
That's a good point. But
and
again,
above.
I do think that even though they definitely, at least it seems to be that while one of them we see struggle a little bit with his, they don't really know how they haven't really had time to train with these abilities or aren't really like aware of how to fully maximize their potential. So even if it did, I think, raise them a little bit, but that's a good point. It might have not raised them as much as it would have if they would have had time to like really harness these abilities. But, then we meet other characters like 3-headed Baskerville, the Captain Crunch looking guy, guy with 3 heads. Funny joke at the end. He's a character. He's there. And then we get to the part where they are finally trying to infiltrate now because it's like half the group has gone through and they're fighting the giants. But then there's still like Zoro and Sanji and the Straw Hats are still on Rocket Man. And the other team that they sent ahead was going to prepare the first and second gate and open them so that Rocket Man could just shoot right through. However, they're having some difficulty doing that. So Yokozuna and Zoro, who are at the front of the train, Zoro's job being to slice through the gate, says, you know what, Yokozuna, just hit it as hard as you can. And he hits it and the gate bends. And then they just use the gate as a ramp to launch Rocket Man. Over. So lit. Again, I hate to keep saying this because I'm positive vibes for the live action. But how? How?
Yokozuna, how?
Yokozuna, how? Yeah.
And
really.
how?
And how? I don't know why that reminds me of the Little Rascals.
I think they say it.
I think, yeah. Maybe Buckwheat said
it.
And how? I got $1. Hey. But then it cuts back to, all these like, a lot of this first half of this arc is the rescue mission, them infiltrating the layers of Enies Lobby.
And different shots, we got like Kiwi and Mozu. We got, Frankie House, Frankie Brothers. We got, what are the 2... what are their names? I have it right here. The 2 sea cows.
Oh, they're named after Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah,
but one of them is Gomorrah.
Sodomu and Gomorrah. Yeah, so we get them and
let us
crazy.
Know in the comments like why name them after Sodom and Gomorrah? I just don't know why.
Maybe they just sound like cool names.
I mean, they do. Yeah, I mean they do. But they were not doing cool things. Or maybe they were doing cool things.
They were doing great things. They were literally...
I mean, you don't know, because back in those days, I mean, people fucked a little too indiscriminately, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the sea cows.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about that.
When I say too indiscriminately, I mean, they were just, they didn't really ID people. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
I'm saying that this Sodom and Gomorrah, they're really holding their own.
They were solid. Awesome.
They were awesome, and like there was like promises made, and like they're crying, and Chopper's like treating them. It was a crazy stream of events.
No, for sure.
And I loved their moments.
Yeah, I mean they had some really impactful moments, dude. I mean. This is the part that I think we are probably going to just kind of power through so we can get to that Robin backstory. But, we see the Galley Lav versus the courthouse dog unit, which I know you love because you love dogs.
I love that.
And you call them guys. And every time we see a dog, you always say, look at that guy. And I'm like, I don't want to look at a guy right now. Like there are times I want to look at a guy and there are times I don't. But then I realize you're talking about a dog. I'm like, oh, that guy.
Oh, there's a guy. I mean, I probably shouldn't assume their gender.
No, but it's a gender neutral term.
Like, hey guys.
Yeah, like, hey guys. Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah. But I like Guy. I like when you see a dog and you call it Guy. Because, I'm like, I don't know.
Funny.
It is funny, but it's, yeah, I like it. I think it's fun.
Thanks. Yeah, shout out. Who else calls dog guys or a guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people do.
Comment below.
Yeah, comment your guy's name if you got a guy.
Comment your guy's name.
Comment your guy's name below. Yeah, right? Comment your guy's name.
Comment your guy's name.
Why are you frowning at me like that?
I wasn't frowning. I just thought you said something else. So
then it cuts back to like Nami's like climate baton, and we get to see the upgrade to that.
Awesome climate baton, and even like that was impactful for her because I mean, yeah, she does kick ass. Yeah, we have seen her, fight, but even the Frankie house were like, I thought this girl was just backup. Like she's one of their like main fighters, and that was a crazy thing to say because she's really not, but she's becoming.
No, I thought she was way more than backup since Baroque works. Like ever since like the first time she used her V1 climate baton, I always knew like, oh, she could handle because she handled that on her own.
Yeah, I just feel like she's getting more and more.
Oh,
strong.
for sure, she's getting more and more strong. But I haven't considered her just backup for a long time. If anything, in a way, Usopp was a little more just kind of backup, or just
Chopper.
like in the background. And Chopper can handle because Chopper's got the little, what do you call it? The little zone powered up so he could do. So even Chopper was handling business. Yeah, he's a little guy.
He's a little guy,
and that could be a big guy. But so that's a funny moment too, where she gets her climate baton and we see how much stronger it is, but she uses a lightning attack that electrocutes everybody. And it's a funny moment because Sogeking is there. I keep wanting to say Sniper King. Sorry. Sogeking is there and she looks to him and she's like, why didn't you put some sort of like limiter on this? Or why didn't you put some sort of way for me to, determine who I'm shocking? And he's like, I didn't. I'm the Sogeking. I don't know who made that. Usopp made that. I did not make that. Talk to him. I mean, I remember him telling me something about.
Yeah, that was the funniest part. Like, I remember him saying why he didn't do it, and I was just like, why would he even tell you that?
So funny. And then Spandam. It cuts back to Spandam and Robin, and of course, Spandam is changing the deal. And I'm not even like I hate Spandam. Spandam's probably outside of including every villain that we've met. Spandam is just like the slimiest, like saddest, most like annoying.
He is the most human villain that we've seen.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's what's slimy.
I mean,
human
that's
nature,
true.
Human nature, having everyone else do your bidding, being a weakling,
have
other people put their lives on the line but your own. That's nasty.
It is nasty. It's so nasty, and I love the passion. But he changes the deal, and of course he changes the deal, and I hate him, but I also like understand.
I totally agree.
Because he's, but it's like Robin's reaction because he says like, yeah, you know what? The Straw Hats are here. I'm going after them and I'm arresting them and they're going to whatever. They're going to be punished to the full extent of the law. And Robin's like, but you promised to leave them alone. It's like, yeah, but they're here. It's like they broke into jail.
No, that's what he said. Like he was like, yeah, that was our agreement when they were at Water 7. Yeah. But now they're here.
But he said it's sinister.
He said it's sinister, but he's saying the truth.
But even Frankie laying on the freaking ground was just like, I mean, Robin, you got to know that he was going to do that, right? Like, I mean,
know.
Come on. I mean, they
Of course. He's the slimiest of slime balls.
Yeah. So that didn't really surprise me. But then it cuts to, and this is where we're starting to get into more, I think, important, really cool stuff and territory. Luffy versus Blueno. And right before the fight happens, Blueno really sets the groundwork for what is going to be a huge moment later on. And he, Blueno talks to Luffy before he fights and says like, hey dude, do you really know what you're doing? Like, do you really take a second to really think about what is happening? You are going up against, this is an organization that has the support of 170 nations, islands, whatever. This is the world. Do you like think about what you're doing? And Luffy says like, I don't care. Like, I
don't care anything that you're saying. Just give me Robin back.
Yeah. I mean, like, that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter.
You think that matters now?
Which is truthfully, and I'm going to say this too. I can't help but really admire Luffy for this. And it's not good necessarily to carry over things to this degree into your real life.
Oh God.
But I mean, I've gone against the government, many times in my own way. Okay. And they've always got me.
Yeah, they literally always get you.
But if I had a captain like Luffy around, they wouldn't get me.
You know what? You don't need a captain like Luffy. You can become a captain like Luffy. Ever think about that? Ever have that mindset?
Well, maybe I have.
And you just can't do it.
Maybe I am. Whoa. Maybe I'm getting stronger and stronger every day, and I'm about to go freaking gear 3 on you right now.
Oh, shooty.
Yeah, you freaking.
Oh,
you
what?
Watch yourself.
Oh my God, you guys just saw that, right?
You saw the gears.
You got the gears turning.
Wow.
I'm smoking like gear 1. Oh, gear 2. Gear 1.
All the gears. Guillermo del Toro.
Oh,
it just doesn't make sense. It just rhymes, kind of.
Yeah. It was good though. I liked it.
No, it wasn't good. It didn't make any sense.
Oh my God, I liked it.
Any sense.
Okay,
but
sometimes you don't have to make sense to be funny. Sometimes you don't have to make sense to save your friends.
Yeah, I like that.
Like
I mean,
Luffy.
that's like literally like Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you really learned a lot from reading this. But Luffy says he doesn't care, and then he proceeds to fight Blueno. But before that, it kind of cuts back to Gamora going down, which was a very sad moment because then it flashes back to that promise that they made each other, and Chopper can hear and understand them. So he's like delivering this message, translating for everybody. The Sniper King or the Sogeking, it cuts back to him because at this point, so it's like there's a unit that's breaching the walls, the gates. And then there's the Straw Hats that are on Rocket Man. And at a certain point, Rocket Man is far enough into Enies Lobby that they start to look around and they go, where is Usopp? Usopp is nowhere to be found. When did he fall off?
Sogeking.
Yeah, Sogeking. When did he fall off? And it cuts back to him, and he's now talking to these giants that the Frankie family and Galila and everybody was able to defeat. As they're sort of laying there and starting to come to, Usopp starts talking to them, or they start talking to Usopp about how the only reason that they're fighting for the government is because they're trying to save their 2 leaders. They're these 2 like powerful captains that they used to sail with. And the more they started talking about these guys, the more Usopp or Sogeking starts putting together. He's like, oh yeah, you mean Dory and Broggy? Like, I know those guys. And they go like, how do you know them? They're locked up. He goes, no, they're not. They're on this island. They're still fighting. I can tell you what they look like. I can tell you their move sets. I can tell you everything about their fighting styles, everything about them.
Their laughs.
Their laughs. I can prove it to you. And they, I mean, of course they hear everything and they have no choice. How else would this person know this stuff? And they believe Usopp. Why wouldn't they? Of course. I mean, he's telling the truth. And immediately switch sides and join the Straw Hats, join the resistance.
And I loved that moment for Usopp, especially just because of how, we're going back all the way to Little Garden, like seeing how much Groggy and Dory like really impacted Usopp and how much he looked up to like their way of living and like their morals and their code of being a warrior. Like he wanted to be that. And this is like a super important moment, like having that connection and making those people on his side, like feeling that he can do something for the Straw Hats. Like it was awesome, 360, right? It'd be a 360, not a 180. I always get that confused.
Well, 180 is like when you make if you did a 360, then you'd be back in the same place that you started. If you do a 180, then you're making a change.
Yeah. So I feel like Usopp had a change there.
Yeah.
He was able to put them on his side. And even if he can't fight to the full extent, he can have that warrior spirit and be able to move forward with these guys.
Usopp is the definition of fake it till you make it in the best way, because it's not just about faking it till you make it. The other half of that is that, there are things that you got to do. There is work that needs to be done.
And believing in
But a lot of it is believing in yourself.
Which he has had a hard time with so far.
Yeah, and, at least like signaling to other people or having other people believe in you. And Usopp is really, he's really good at that last part. He's really good at like convincing, or at least like putting on to everybody else that he's this like warrior. But I think at the same time, he really is picking things up, getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
He's being constantly elevated by everybody around him. And there was a line said by one of the Straw Hats earlier when they realized like, oh yeah, he's missing. That they realized like, oh no, he's gonna be fine. He's been fine this whole time. We don't need to babysit him. Like people who he would have died if he was gonna die, and weak people don't roll with us. Like he's made it this far. He's gonna figure out a way to survive again. Like
yeah, and I love too that like he couldn't up until now. He literally had to put not a figurative but like a literal mask over himself in order to like pretend to be brave. Like that's so funny. Like
he's never needed a mask before to be brave. I mean,
no,
or at least to pretend to be brave.
But I feel like more so when he is Sogeking, he's just like way more confident, badass. Like of course he's kind of like stressing, but I mean the earlier chapters he's like, you know, running away and then apologizes for running away or like crying or like, you know, I just feel like him and Sogeking is like this new like energy to Usopp that we haven't seen yet.
It would be so funny to see a panel of him like standing heroically in the Sogeking mask, and then you get a panel like one of those Iron Man kind of shots where you get to see inside the helmet, and he's just like,
or it's like
crying.
that meme with like the smiling like face on it, and then the person like crying behind. That's like Usopp.
Yeah, that's Usopp. Yeah,
Sogeking. Yeah.
I wonder if that meme has to exist. I feel like
I'm sure.
But then you know Usopp is able to kind of like ride these giants into the fray and join the fight and catch up with everybody. While that's happening, it cuts back to Kaku and Khalifa eating a devil fruit. Now, this is something that I thought was so awesome. It's the first time we've ever got to see people actually consume a devil fruit. Before, so many times we've met people who already have these abilities. We don't know how they came into these things.
I think we did see Buggy.
Well, we saw Buggy, but we saw it's like a flashback. We don't get to see in real time someone actually like sitting down and making the choice. And with Buggy, it was like kind of funny, you know, like he kind of accidentally ate it. But these are people that are holding it in their hands and making a choice whether they want to go down this road or not.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too to see how everybody else in the world of One Piece views devil fruits, even people with devil fruit powers and the superstitions that surround them. Because you have Jabra, who is in the distance, and he's saying like, I don't know if you really, I mean, Kaku, you're already pretty strong. I don't know if you want to take something that's going to be a risky, you're 95% probably going to get stronger, but there's a 5% chance you might not. And also, you know, you never know what you're going to get. And he starts talking about devils inhabiting these fruits. And he says like, don't bring that fruit too close to me because the devil inside me and the devil inside that fruit will rip each other apart. And Lucci kind of says like, no, you're talking about what happens when people eat two devil fruits, which is finally a canon in-universe answer to, you know, what happens to people who try to stack these abilities, who try to eat human fruit and whatever, you know, chop fruit or whatever. Like the body cannot handle it and it rips them apart. However, I would not be surprised if down the road we did meet somebody who was able to sustain that power and had multiple fruits. But at least at this point in the story, we're led to believe that it is not possible for people to do, which is crazy. And I love that this story took the moment to sit down with Khalifa and Kaku and have them make that choice number one and then eat it and then show how someone also comes into their devil fruit abilities as well and discovers them as well. So cool. Because it could have already had devil fruit powers like everybody else. Like, I don't know. I really, really, really like that a lot. But after that happens, we cut back to Spandam again, taking the phone call in front of Robin and Frankie. Feels pretty confident, feels pretty cocky.
Yeah, I like this part. It did totally like remind me of that scene from the SpongeBob movie. When Mr. Krabs, you know, the scene with SpongeBob and he's accepting the award of Employee of the Month. Mr. Krabs is like literally whispering in his ear and he's like, I didn't win the award. He's like, and I'm making a complete fool of myself. He's like, and I'm repeating everything that you're telling me into the microphone for everyone to hear. So funny. It totally reminded me of that.
It was so funny. And it's like, this guy's starting to kind of get what's coming to him a little bit. Like, he just looks like an idiot all the time. And he's trying to flex. And Frankie and not really Robin, but Frankie is like, you look like a fool right now. You are a fool. He's like laughing in his face. And good. Because he's a baby. He's a baby with too much power.
He's a baby with the BDSM mask.
He really is. He's a little freak, dude, and he's controlling all the little freaks that are running around freaking Enies Lobby too. The guilty guys running around there with their freaking
gimps.
ball and chains, little gimp mask. You know what I'm saying? Like getting in the bedroom, smacking each other around, saying, "Oh, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being sexy. I'm guilty. Hit me with this ball. You know, get your balls over here. You know, I'm guilty of being horny for you. Yeah, like these guys running around Enies Lobby. I don't even know what they're doing, dude. I mean, are they really like protecting, or are they really just kind of like trying to get everybody, like corral them into like some sort of room and maybe have their way with them? I don't know.
You really focused on them.
Yeah, they were a big part of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he takes a phone call in front of them and thinking that he's gonna say, yeah, tell him maybe he's got 6 now. Tell him that sorry, Luffy only got like 5, whatever. He's like, the phone has been off the hook. There's thousands. Like he's got thousands now, and he's like, what?
And they're on their way.
Yeah, and they're still on their way there. And he's like, what? Huh?
¿Qué?
And then it cuts back to the Blueno Luffy fight, and we finally get to see Blueno and Luffy tee off, square up, and it's a really cool moment because slowly Blueno realizes like, oh, this guy has gotten stronger, but not only that, Luffy starts to go gear at this point. Gear 2? Mm-hmm. Gear 2. All his steam starts coming up, and he starts to think to himself, how like. This person, how did he come to know this ability? And Luffy explains to him, like, I just watched you. Yeah. I watched you and I kind of like made some mental notes, kind of took into account like what could possibly be going in, how many steps you were taking, and taught myself to do it because I have to. The first time we fought, he was like, I knew that if I wanted to protect the people I cared about the most, I couldn't do it as I was. So I needed to be better. It was not an option for me. So I did whatever I had to do to train to be able to do that, to do this.
And I was like, wow, I really respect you now.
Yeah, dude.
Like, it really shows that, like, Luffy's not just running around and, like...
Eating all the time.
Like, he's actually, like, has thoughts and he's thinking.
Yeah.
Like, for the first time, you're like, oh, shit. Like, when did he train for that? Like, when was he even thinking about that? Like, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a cool moment, especially for the reasoning why he wanted to be stronger. Not just for himself, but... to protect others is like,
yes,
not a lot of people in this world kind of have that thought. I feel like the Straw Hats are pirates that are like kind of like a anomaly where, they want to be stronger for each other, not for themselves. Like having that pirate mentality of being, it is all just like selfishness and human nature. But with the Straw Hats, it's so refreshing because like they just want to do good. They just want to do right in this world that's like kind of really, really corrupt.
Yeah. Stronger for the sake of others. Absolutely. And Luffy ultimately with Gear 2 is able to defeat Blueno and
which was a funny moment too.
Yeah.
When he's like, get ready for Gear 3, and then Blueno's just like on the floor. He's like, oh, I didn't get to use my power.
But what a crazy and so cool, because as an audience member or as a reader, you're like, here we we were about to see it.
You're like, whose ass does Luffy have to beat right now for me to see this gear?
Luffy, quick, just beat up the first person that you
see.
Goofy,
I call him Goofy.
I mean, I think he'd like that. You got a lot of voices.
That was bad, huh?
You got a lot of voices. I would consider you the voice acting queen. However, Goofy is not one of them.
Can you do it? Can you do Goofy?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Right now. Absolutely not.
You're letting everyone down. Thank you.
I'm not letting everybody. No one clicked on this video and said, I hope that Josh does a Goofy voice.
I think they did. I think they did, guys.
Did they? What do you guys think?
Huh? What?
Oh, sure.
Goofy. Oh.
That was bad. But I did it. Okay? It was bad. And Spandam is looking out the window and he sees Luffy standing over Blueno, who's passed out, and he's like, how is this all happening? What is going on? And Luffy's screaming. He's like screaming to Robin like that he's coming for her, coming to save her, to help her. You have the craziest mind, dude. This is when Frankie's like, they're coming all the way out here. They're sticking their necks out to save you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna just let you sit here and mope. Like, you gotta get yourself together and you gotta like face them. And so he shits his pants.
He really does, and he gets a BBL.
Big booty butt?
Big Brazilian butt lift.
Oh, he
gets
gets
BBL.
Yeah.
His butt gets bigger.
No, his butt gets real big.
Yeah.
Real big.
Yeah.
He's got a big old dumper on that too. And it's like full of gas too.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it stinks.
Yeah, he basically farts everywhere, but it saves everybody. And it
that's all that matters.
Yeah, but Robin's still cuffed up. Robin is still definitely cuffed up. This is when they're finally outside and Luffy and Robin can face each other and finally hear each other and reach each other. And Robin, really looks at, and as a reader too, the whole time you're thinking like, Robin, come on, like your past cannot be that bad. Like,
I know.
Really? Do you? They're already here, Robin.
And they've literally done the worst thing they could possibly do.
Yes. Like they've already broken in. They've already like made their lives harder for. I mean, that's
kind of like what Luffy was saying. Like she's like, I don't want to live, and then he's like, well, okay, well, you don't have to. You have to live right now, and then we're gonna like take you, and then you can die after.
Well, yeah, that's when she yells, I want to die, and you're just like, oh my God, Robin, like you didn't tell me it was that bad. You didn't tell me it was that bad, Robin.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But like you said, Luffy says like, okay, if you want to die, it's not up to me. Whether you live or die. He's like, but it is like, I do feel like as a friend, it is my duty, my responsibility, and I want to save you. And you could choose what you do with your life after I save you.
And after, he's putting Robin, because he always puts the Straw Hats before himself. Like if there's anyone in trouble, he's always like, that's his first priority. But he's also saying like, Robin, okay, I'm saving you, but I need to do what's best for the crew here. Like, we're already here. Like, we're not just going to turn back now. Like, everyone's done so much work for you. Like, you can die after.
I would even argue that Luffy isn't even thinking like that.
I don't know. After that little power-up, after that gear, I don't know what's going through those gears.
What's going, on in his mind.
I don't know what. So, because he never says it.
I don't even think he thinks outside of, like, just, like, the moment. Like, what is most important? He's not, like, everything that everybody's doing to, like, help her, that's like the minimum to be a Straw Hat. Like, Straw Hats do whatever they have to protect their friends. Like, it's not about what Sanji's, because Sanji has the choice, Zoro has a choice, Chopper has a choice, Nami has a choice. They all have Frankie. Everybody has a choice to either be there or not be there. And if they're there, they know that they're there to help their friend. And so I doubt Luffy's even thinking about that. He's just like, I care about saving you. And once I save you, I want it to be your choice what you do with your life. I don't want it to be in the hands of like these guys, these government officials, Spandam. If you want to die, then do it after I save you. But I'm here to save you, and I'm going to save you. And it's like, okay, dude, damn, save me. After that, that's that shot that I talk about where the gang finally gets together, and you realize that all the time that they spent separated and apart is for a moment like this, where you see a 2-page spread of all of them on the wall, and you're like, oh my God, you feel it. I started shaking when my hands were reading that. Actually, I was reading on a tablet, so I was just shaking the tablet. It was intense because, you really felt the power that they all like wield when they're together and how like much of a presence they really are. And, Luffy says, if you don't want us to save you and if you really do want to die, or is Nami or somebody says it, like they, say it to our face, like say it to all of us right here, right now. Like tell everybody, and that's what I think maybe more in line with what you're saying. It's like, tell everybody who has been putting their life on the line and risking their life for you. Tell them that you don't want them to save you. And it's just like, oh my God, I wouldn't want Luffy to be my dad, dude. That should be crazy.
No, that's like some mental game shit right there.
It's like, a warfare. Yeah. But then finally we get that Robin backstory. And you just started crying out of nowhere.
I sneezed. Someone was talking about me.
Well, talking about Robin's backstory. Yeah, no wonder you sneezed.
Yeah.
We're finally here.
We're here.
And I just got to say, again, we said it in the beginning of the episode, but everybody hyped this up and it met every expectation. It opens with young Nico Robin, first of all, adorable and cute.
Yeah,
and also something tragic about her too.
I know. She has a little like, I mean, it's her eyes. Like, I mean, she looks exactly like her mom, which we'll meet soon, but like her eyes just seem so like vacant.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, because the pupils are like really, really big. But she just seems kind of like a little tortured soul, but she's been an old soul for sure. But it's just because she's been abandoned, you know? Yeah.
Or not abandoned in that sense, but like as far as she knows, like her mom just like had other better things to do.
Yeah.
And just isn't with her. And we see that, you know, she's had these devil fruit abilities since she was 8 years old. We don't get to see how she got them.
Yeah, how she ended up getting them, or like even like when.
Or even when, yeah.
Who knows? But it is interesting too, like we kind of talked about it, but like the theory of where the devil fruits come from, like how did she even get one? You know?
Maybe she got one at that little archaeological
establishment.
At that little establishment, a little treehouse.
Yeah.
Maybe she got one up in there.
Maybe.
Because I do have a theory. Once, you know, if the scholars aren't the only people that can have theories, okay, I have my own little theory that I want to.
The game theorist isn't the only one that can have
theories.
And
the game theorist isn't the only one either. Yeah. We can have theories.
Yeah,
right?
we can have theories.
And everybody else in the comments has theories. We can have theories. Shit.
Shit.
But we see that she's been bullied and, you know, she's been called a devil or a monster since she was a kid, because if every island is isolated, which allows the world government to remain so powerful or to have such a grasp on all of these nations, is because they, you know, like we learned from Water 7, without the sea train, they don't really have many ways to communicate with each other. I don't know how far snail transponders transpond, but you know, they really don't have a lot of opportunities to travel from island to island. So a lot of these people on this island, I'm sure, have not, outside of the scholars, have not seen a devil fruit ability before. So they just call her a monster. They're like, we don't know what the heck that is that you could do. You're a monster, and no one wants to hang out with you, and they bully her and they alienate her. And so she feels like she has no friend. She has no mom. She has no friends. The only people in this town or in this place that she lives is the scholars, the archaeologists that live there in this tree of knowledge. And she does everything she can and fills every moment of spare time learning, because she's accepted by them because of many reasons. She has nothing else better to do.
Yeah.
Because she wants to be accepted by them.
And I'm sure, like, I mean, she's related to her mom, so like the apple doesn't fall from the tree.
The devil fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
The fruit does not fall far, and she you know, whether she likes it or not is like kind of, you know, they kind of mentioned it, like following it in those footsteps entirely. Like they're very similar. And she's doing it because she thinks that's the way she can earn like love and respect.
Definitely respect.
Definitely respect. So she's trying the best she can to, you know, learn all these things at a young age, and to earn that. Not necessarily because she wants to. She found a love for it, but I think it started because she knew that if she did these things, she could be with this crowd and they would accept her for who she is and respect her.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so hurtful when she finally does pass this test and become an archaeologist, and everybody congratulates her with this huge party. And she's like, cool, now I could come hang out in the basement and decipher poneglyphs with you guys.
And they're like, huh?
What? How did you know that? Robin, have you been spying on us?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, let me come get those poneglyphs with you guys.
It's so sad because it's so like, she's just so naive. You know, she doesn't think that it's a bad thing, because like no one really talks down about history because she's surrounded by people who like love it and cherish it. So the fact that she like built this thing, she wanted to become this person for them, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't even talk about that. Like, promise me you'll never say that out loud. It's like all this work for what?
Yeah.
Like her not to be able to do the thing that she wanted to do. Like, how sad.
Yeah.
Like,
and they tell her no, and now she feels like the one people or the one group of people that she felt included in, she has been excluded from being in, and so she goes and she, sits on a cliff and stares out at the sea, full of sadness.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you know, on her way be emo, which if anybody's being emo over anything, I mean, she has a very valid reason. And so did I in high school. Okay. And so did you. And so did you. Everybody has a reason to be emo. Nothing wrong with it. It's just short for emotional, and we all have emotions. Mm-hmm. But lo and behold, who's washed up on that beach? But Jaguar, at this point in the story, Jaguar Saul is what we know him as, Saul.
Oh, you're forgetting the thing.
What thing?
Jaguar D.
No, I know. I was amping up to him. Because at this point in the story, I said at this point in the story, we know him as Jaguar or Saul. But, you know.
We kind of get that immediately, though.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I was ramping up to like a big reveal.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I kind of ruined it.
No, but people already know. You know, I was being extra. You're right. And speaking of extra, Volume 1 Extra, Patreon exclusive bonus podcast.
That was a good little plug.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for setting me up for that plug.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so we do find out that he is, they become friends, and he says like, I'm washed up, where he doesn't know where he's at. He's trying to build a raft to escape. They become friends. He is worried that she's going to out him, but she's like, I don't have anybody to out you to. They form a bond, and he says, you know what? My name is actually Saul Jaguar D Saul. And he says, I don't know why, but everybody in my family has the middle initial D. So we're meeting either a descendant of, now I have a theory, and I think this is now where one of your theories come in, Mehgan, and I'll let you take over. But I believe, right, that like you said, Jaguar D Saul is a giant, right? But he's a gentle giant. And he says that. He says, everybody thinks, you know, all giants from Elbaf or Elbaf, we're all warriors. He's like, but we're not all the same. Like, most of them are warriors, but there are some nice giants, some gentle giants. And I am one of those gentle giants. But he does have a D middle initial, which means like Portgaz D Ace or Monkey D Luffy or Gold D Roger. It's this lineage. Now, your theory about the lineage is what, Mehgan?
That they're not necessarily related. It's more of like an honorary like name. Like, yeah. Like
you don't choose your family. You know, you kind of make your family whoever you want your family to be.
Yeah, it might be like a tribe situation,
like a moniker that you kind of take on.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah,
or it could be, you know, a name that has been erased with the 100 years.
Okay.
You know,
the void in history.
The void in history, and that might have to do with the place that it was, you know, taken away from history. I freaking dropped my pen. It might have come from there. That was how you blew my mind. That's why there's so many, like a different variety of people.
Yeah. Wow. And we're going to get into that place pretty soon. But now that I'm thinking about that, I at first agreed with you in that it probably was an honorary moniker because, you know, how could someone have in their lineage giants within their lineage and then maybe not have any giant blood or be a giant themselves if Luffy is related to Saul. But this is all us theorizing here. But then we see CP9 from 20 years prior and they're on their way to Ohara. And it is at this point that Robin finally, after a couple days or a certain amount of time, tells Saul, like, yeah, you know, you're on Ohara. Or Saul starts to put it together, like, I'm on Ohara. And realizes, like, oh my God, you got to get out of here and you need to run and tell everybody that the Navy is coming for them. And as a matter of fact, your mom might be here too. Mm-hmm. And you start thinking, like, how the hell was this guy part of the archaeological explorer team or what? So Robin runs back, tells everybody, screams at everybody. And on her way there, her mom does come back. And her mom is kind of chilling there. And she's kind of saying, like, I kind of, you know, ruined everything. You know, they're coming after us because of me. And they, you know, the guy Clover or whatever his name says, like, no, like, we're all one team. Like, we're doing over here, you're doing over here, but we're all, you know, a team. So, you know, you can't think like that. And then she kind of dips again. And then Robin comes back in and was like, was my mom just here?
I know.
And they're like, what the heck?
They're like, how do you know everything? She's like, I'll say it again. She's Smosa. Like, she's always in the loop, even though she doesn't want to be.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just really funny.
And then we see CP9 and what I assume is Spandam's dad because of something that he says later or a descendant, but I'm sure dad. coming for them, arriving at the
Mm-hmm.
island, and on his way there, I think even calling somebody that we've seen before, Mr. Kuzan himself, Aokiji, before he becomes Aokiji.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks cool as shit. Cool guy. I mean, this guy
Always.
could be a freaking model, dude. This guy could
Yeah.
be a freaking Zoomies model, dude. I mean, he's
Zoomies.
or I mean, yeah. I mean, I just maybe I mean,
Maybe
I don't know.
like Express.
Oh, maybe Express. Yeah, it could be an Express. Yeah, he could be an Express. Yeah, that's better. But yeah, he's looking good. He's looking real good. And he's young and he's, vibrant. And he's just like, yeah, all right, I'll come over there. I'll help you guys out. They capture Olivia, who is Robin's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And
Olivia.
more like Olivia.
It's like Olivia.
It's like Olivia, but the V in it's like Olvia. Olivia. And Olivia.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Sorry, I interrupted your joke.
No, more like I'll leave you. Yeah, yikes.
Jesus.
But they finally.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
That was good though. But
it was. Yeah, I mean, I'll take credit for that one.
No, yeah, for sure. It was just like
it was sad,
a little fucked up.
And the funniest things come from sadness, tragedy, and sadness, and whatever comedy. Throw them together, put them in a blender, comedy. But capture Olivia, and that's when like Robin runs out, and they start storming the Tree of Knowledge, which has all the knowledge. It was the only place that has truly knowledge that nobody else has. Not just that, but have been working to putting together this like void in history, which is crazy.
They the people of Ohara were the closest to doing it, and they couldn't stop. They got way too far. They're like, we can't stop now. But they're the only ones who really got that close. That's why they were such a threat to the government.
Yes,
because if they went any further, it would be game over.
And that's why they're over there, and finally they take Olivia captive, and this is where this incredibly sad moment happens, where Robin starts to look at this woman, and she doesn't even recognize her mother because of how long ago her mother left. And we even get a flashback of how her mother left, so we empathize with her mother and know that her mother isn't a bad person and isn't a Usopp who just fucking decided to bounce because he likes the sea.
Yeah, he likes the sea, and he wants to be a pirate, and he wants to leave behind his sick wife and child.
Yeah. This parent was like struggling and had to go do what she did for the betterment of the world and for history and for her home, and it was hard for her to leave Robin, but Robin doesn't remember, but then starts to slowly like piece it together, and just like that is like a Dr. Seuss book or whatever. She like says like, "Are you my mother?" Remember that book with a little dog and a bird on his head? Are you my mother?
Mm-mm.
It's a good book, but whatever. She says, "Are you my mother?" and Olivia has such a good reason for saying no, but she ultimately says, no, I'm not. And it's because if she says yes, then they're going to go after her too. So it is this like tortured moment where Olivia can't say yes, but I'm sure in her heart she wanted to so bad say yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. If it was a situation, what it was, she would have been like, yes, of course. Like, I'm so sorry I left you.
Yeah, because even hearing Robin call her mother like affects her deeply, because she's like, I don't even deserve to be called. You don't even deserve. I don't even deserve for you to call me mom, because I haven't been your mom, but I want to be, and I love you. And it's just like, oh my God, but all this is happening in her head.
I know. I can't. It was. I cried for sure. It was very sad.
I mean, it was again the saddest. And she's like, no, I know you're my mom, or she doesn't even say like.
No, she goes.
She says like,
I know I might look different because I grew up a little bit, but it's me. It's Robin. Like, don't you recognize me? Like, I'm getting teary just thinking about it, honestly. Every time that scene, it gets me. Like, just not the fact that like she just thinks that she forgot her.
You
like
are
everyone
teary.
Forgot her.
Yeah, you are.
She
getting
just
teary.
thinks that she forgot her.
And
she's like, don't you recognize me? So sad.
It is sad. It is. But inevitably, in order to get her point across or whatever, I mean, I think Robin also just wants her mom to accept her, or if it is her mom, or maybe she has this feeling that it is her mom, and she's so confused as to why her mom just won't, like you said, maybe she feels forgotten and she just wants to be remembered or wants to be seen or wants to feel like she has somebody, even though the government is there. She yells like, I can read Poneglyphs. And it's like, oh my God, the one thing you shouldn't say.
I know.
But it does allow for her mother to say, well, all right, well, cat's out of the bag. Yep, I'm your mom. Not like that, but, essentially they, ask her, like, do you have a daughter? And she's like, no. And they're like, they start piecing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave her there, or her mom and her there, because they say, this island's getting wiped out anyway. So, just leave them. But remember their faces and remember, that we got to take care of these two. But it gives them that moment. It gives them that moment because in the flames of the tree of knowledge, as the scholars are throwing books out of the windows to save every sentence they can because of how much they value history, there's Robin and her mother for the first time holding hands. And as they hold hands, even though it's amongst like disaster and destruction, Robin flashes back to every time she saw a parent and a child like be able to show love. And it doesn't matter where it's at, but that it's happening here and now. Like Robin's like, I always wanted to do this. And it's just like, I got dizzy.
It's super emotional.
And the scholars are ordered to be executed. They're ordered to be executed, but before they're executed, Professor, I think Clover, sorry, I forgot to write his name down.
Yeah, it's Clover. Because his hair looks like a clover.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Says, if you're going to execute us, because they call the elders, he's like, if you're going to execute us and you're on the phone with the elders, let us talk to the elders because we're going to die anyway. Our research is incomplete, but we have a theory and we want to run it by the elders before we die. And so they get them on the phone, or they're on the phone, and they go like, all right, let's hear what you got, And he basically tells them, he's like, all right, look. And again, discovering this, because it's basically confirmed. I mean, it's probably, maybe there are some things that are a little different, but it's basically confirmed. He's like, look, we got poneglyphs. We've been deciphering poneglyphs. Poneglyphs are indestructible no matter what you do to them. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry, I can't stop sneezing for some reason.
You're allergic to emotions.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Poneglyphs are indestructible. Why would a society inscribe their history onto an indestructible slab of rock or material? Because the only logical reason somebody would do that was because they feared that someone was going to try to erase them from history, meaning that they had an enemy. Now, if there are two people or one of them has an enemy and then the other person isn't there, and that would only mean and can only mean that the enemy won and survived and did wipe them out. Who is that enemy?
None other than the world government.
The motherfucking world government. Because the way the world government was founded 800 years ago, it was right after the 100. There was history. There was the 100-year void, which all of history has been wiped from. And then the world government starts right after that. And so the world government is the enemy of this forgotten land and its people that have changed their name or have, whatever, disguised themselves or called themselves the world government and have tried to manipulate and change history to make themselves look like the good ones, because history is told by the winners. And unfortunately, winners be lying. They be telling, you even if your friend gets in a fight with somebody, they're like, oh, you should see the other guy. And then, you see a cell phone, video of them in the fight. You're like, you got lucky, you got hit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got hit. But it's like that. It's like World Star. It's like World Star, because it involves the whole world.
You have WG, more like WS.
Yes. But it's also crazy because he says that these people came from a forgotten land. Okay, forgotten land, a very magical land. And these people were all wiped out. This is where my theory comes into play. I think these people that came from there, like you were saying, to piggyback off you, were the people of the D. These freaking D people came here, and that's also where devil fruits come from. Devil fruits come from...
D stands for...
devil fruit. Thank you. Come after me, Spandam. I freaking dare you, dude. I'll take that mask.
Or G just stands for devil.
Or devil. Maybe, because it's the devil fruit. Because it's the fruit. It's the fruit of that land. And that land was inhabited by devils. It's the fruit of the devils. It's the fruit of the devils. Wow. Yes. And so what Gold Roger did. Go ahead.
Jaguar D Saul wasn't a giant at all. He ate the giant fruit.
Maybe he ate the giant fruit, dude. And that's the thing. All these people of D, because they're devils or whatever, and all the people, it's like the freaking Attack on Titan, like the Marlians and the fucking whatever's, dude. They're there, and they're
The
like,
people of Ymir.
Yeah, the people of Ymir and, whatever. They come there and they, they're the only sole survivors, or it's one lineage, or it's maybe it's like maybe it's different families that came from that, but any family that comes from that island has the D, middle name,
and
right?
that's probably where the One Piece is.
It's probably where the One Piece is, and that's what I'm saying. They're saying that Gold D. Roger was the only person to ever successfully decipher the Poneglyphs. He deciphered the Poneglyphs. He found out where this island was.
Because he wanted to go back to his home.
Because he wanted to go home. And there are survivors somewhere. This island exists, and there are survivors there. And he went back, he found the devil fruits, and then he collected the devil fruits and then freaking spread them all over the world to really make this age of pirates possible and for all these people to flourish. Because he's like, I could create kind of chaos within the world government. They stand
a chance against the world government.
Because then people are going to be fighting themselves. Everybody's going to destroy themselves if I give them this kind of power. And so he's like sprinkling this all. That's my theory. And I hope, I don't get what Clover got, because Clover got shot.
Yeah, someone might come for you now.
Well,
and
good.
if it is correct, don't let us know it's correct yet.
Yeah,
we want it to be a surprise.
Give us an emoji. Give
us an emoji. Maybe even that's a little too telling.
Nah, I like a good emoji comment. Maybe.
Speaking of emoji, Aokiji.
Like it. But yes. Sorry, we went on that rant.
No, it was good. I like the theories. That's
Me too.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it's so fun. But yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So after that, everybody's dying. The village is on fire, and Robin needs to escape. There's an evacuation ship that she's being told to go to. Her mom says obviously she can't go anywhere. She can't do anything. And she just wants Robin to survive. Saul shows up and is like, Robin, you have to survive. Like, you have to live. Her mom tells her last wish. Her mom tells her, live, Robin, live. And Saul's like, you got to get out of here. And then we find out that Saul was a vice admiral who captured Ovia or whatever. I freaking got boogers. I'm so freaking passionate about this. And then he questioned the government's way of doing things and their moral compass, and let her go and helped her escape. And now he's on the run and she's on the run. And so he's like, get to the evacuation ship, but the evacuation ship blows up because there's another vice admiral.
That was crazy.
I had
no idea. I was shocked.
I had a feeling.
I was shocked because they're dead.
They're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Crazy.
And that came from an order from another vice admiral who we only got to see from the neck down. Whenever you see someone from the neck down, you know that they're about to be a big reveal later, and they're about to be,
Well, he's
deal.
definitely one of the three. We have the three: Aokiji,
him, and
something with G's. They all have J-I endings, I believe.
Yeah. No, some people have told us animals. They're named for animal spirits or something.
Yes.
Like
So he's one of those guys. Yeah.
For sure, and a bad one too, because he's like, we can't, let any of these people get away, because if we do even let one person get away, all of this has been for nothing. And it's like the first Buster call, and that's what even initiated this whole flashback, is because Spandam was getting a little too cocky with that Buster call button, and it was. I mean, so much stuff happens here, but Kuzan Aokiji finds out that Saul is there. Saul starts going rogue and starts destroying everything. Aokiji shows up and he questions Saul, and he says, I don't judge you for doing what you're doing, because people's sense of justice changes depending on where they stand. And that was a powerful, amazing line, because it's not as black and white as right and wrong. It's about where your feet are planted. What side are you on? If you're a rich person, if you have money, your argument is going to change. And if you're a poor person and you don't have money, I mean, it depends on when people talk about, all these things, right and wrong. I mean, it depends on where you're at, who you're with. I mean, it's not that, it can be simple, but it's not always that simple. And so I just love that Kuzan said that. And he's like, I don't blame you, but these people broke the law and we have to punish them for breaking the law. Then when he sees the evacuation ship get blown up, he's like, all right, this is not fitting my moral compass. This is not what I believe to be just.
Yeah.
And so he basically allows Robin to escape. Sets her up with a little lifeboat, freezes the ice on both sides.
Yeah, and before this too, like obviously she gets separated from her mom. Saul kind of saves her and you know, takes her away from all the chaos, and like the last thing she says to Robin is like live for me, like, you know, promise me that you'll live. And same thing with Saul, like before she gets on that tiny little boat of sadness into the ocean, he goes, you know, like, live, Robin, like, you have to live. And Aokiji, you know, as she's leaving, as he, you know, literally pays the way for her to escape and her new life, he's like, you know, if you try, you know, I'm letting you go, but just so you know, like, if you try any like dumb shit, like, I'm gonna be the first one to take you out. Which we do see him, you know, live up to his word when he sees that she's running around with the Straw Hats, which is gonna be a huge threat, and he tries to take them out, you know, immediately, because he knows how powerful they can become and, like, you know, their capability.
Yeah, he sees so much potential in them, and coming from him, that says a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited too. Like, obviously, you know, we have those devil fruit powers that kind of contrast each other and you know, are, you know, not compatible,
but opposites.
Opposites,
you know, whatever,
yeah. So, like, you know, obviously Ace is on Luffy's side, so Aokiji's trying to get to Luffy, and that's gonna be probably a fight somewhat soon. I have no idea, but that's gonna be really exciting to see. But yeah, just another emotional moment of, you know, we didn't really talk about it, but like Saul and Robin did have like a couple moments in which we watched some of the parts of the anime. I mean, so cute. Like Robin being voiced as like an actual kid just made it feel so much more real than just like her voice actress like being like in a higher pitch. But you know, they had a couple moments and he's showing her how to laugh, and he goes, you know, you're cute when you laugh. You should laugh more often. Like, you know, when you're feeling happy or sad, even, like, you
he's
know,
like,
laughing.
especially when you're feeling sad, you should laugh. And she's like, why would I do that? And he's like, because it make you feel better. And maybe you trick yourself. And
then they go, and she's just laughing like that in her little boat of sadness, and it's the saddest thing in the world.
And it's
I can't,
especially because of what you said, that it's voiced by an actual child.
Yeah.
It's just like, ooh, it hits so much harder. But what I really loved outside of this, and we kind of touched on it, but just to really put a bow on Robin's backstory, what I really loved about this, and what I love about these arcs, and it kind of started in Skype, and it's remained sort of an important or a major point of the story, and this really solidified it. When the scholars are throwing out the books and they're trying to save even one sentence, it's the importance of history, and really that history does belong to everybody. And, you know, we deserve to know everything that came before us and where we came and even the mistakes that we made. It's not, rewriting history is not up to us. You know, things happen for a reason, and we need to learn from our mistakes instead of trying to erase them.
Exactly.
And it was just like, I really love that message. But very sad. And then it cuts to, we see a montage of Robin growing up, and every time she finds a companion, every time she finds what she thinks is a safe place, she is constantly being sold out, which was for me more heartbreaking, because she finally, after everything she's been through, everybody she's ever known, her mom, the scholars, everybody, her island, her home is burned. Even her enemies are burned, crisp.
I know.
She thinks she has this old lady friend, and this old lady's like sells her out, and she's like, did you bring the money?
Real vagabond moment.
Yeah, real vagabond moment, yeah. And, you know, that happens to her throughout her life. Every time she feels like she can get close to somebody, she either overhears them or she, you know, escapes, you know, narrowly escapes, you know, being captured. So she's grown up. She can't trust anybody. So we realize that it's not just about her not wanting to put the Straw Hats through everything that she's putting them through, but it's also because she believes that it's only a matter of time before they're going to sell her out too, because her existence is an inconvenience at the very least, if not a crime in her eyes. So she's convinced that at a certain point they're going to get tired of it, and they're just going to sell her out.
And they're going to get tired of it, and it is, you know, kind of shocking to her that these are this group of people want to keep her. Like her mom, like, had to leave, obviously. Like Saul got killed, all the archaeologists got killed, like even everyone, like you said, everyone that, you know, took her in, ratted her out. So people that are trying to take her in without any like motive or any underlying meaning to why they want her there, it's like not what she's used to at all. And she does like push away because she doesn't want people to get hurt again. She doesn't want herself to get hurt again. Like, There's just so many. She's such a complex character.
Yeah.
And you really feel that in these couple moments with her when we cut back to where they are now. And yeah, it's just turning them in before she can, getting them before they can get her.
Yeah. And this is where, too, I mean, like, after all this, and Luffy, I think, starts to put all that stuff together, too.
Yeah.
This is where Luffy turns to Sniper King or Sogeking and says, shoot down that flag. Shoot down the world government's flag.
Mm-hmm.
And without hesitation, without question, Sogeking burns that bitch down. And it is just a moment where it is solidified. There was maybe a 0.0000001% chance that somehow they, could, I don't know, get away or get out of all that. I don't know. But that erased any, from now on, they made it known. They declared war publicly on the home team's court, war on the world government and in turn, in essence, the world.
Yeah.
And you feel that in that moment as you watch the flag burn. You're like, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, it's super intense. Like I said, like it just goes to show you how far Luffy will go to like save his crew. That like we always like joked around about like, who would follow Luffy? Like, how could you follow Luffy? Like, he's dumb. Or, like, people said, like, Luffy's the worst captain ever. He's not a captain. But, like, that's a characteristic of a true captain. Like, doing whatever it takes for your crew. And, like, it doesn't matter who you're up against or, it's the world versus us. Like, that message is, like, totally received in these couple chapters in this first half.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, what a awesome moment. And of course, it's in this moment that Robin shouts that she wants to live. Now, I do want to say that this is a very emotional and impactful moment. And it is a beautiful moment. And in the manga, it is on full display, a full panel. You feel the sense of the emotion, the weight. However, and the voice actress, by the way, the Japanese voice actress, freaking murdered it, dude. Everything that you need to convey is conveyed subconsciously on so many levels. She murdered it, but it also sounded like she was getting murdered. Yeah. The way she said it.
Yeah.
And, I think Mehgan, she did a little preview, but I think Mehgan does a great impression.
Yeah, you could rewind. But
oh, wow.
She, exactly, like her delivery, you could feel every emotion. You could feel how desperate she is to live, how desperate she's clung. She clings to the people that told her to live. All of it was because she was told to, not because she wanted to. That's how it's been for as long as she can remember. So like just hearing her say that and, like, I want to live, take me to the sea with you guys. Like, please, like, just like the desperation you could totally feel in that moment, just how many emotions we're seeing from her for the first time. We see everyone cry. We've seen everyone cry in the Straw Hats, but Robin.
And it feels like she is like letting go. Like it seems like it's just like,
she needed that.
It's just like someone has finally opened up her heart and she's just like, it's just like comes out of her, but it's crazy. Like,
I drew her.
It sounds crazy. But it, obviously the layers.
I don't know if you could see it I'll take a picture of it and probably post it on Instagram because you guys have been
people keep asking it, and you keep saying you're going to do it, and then you don't do it.
I'll post this one for sure. Because it's important. But yeah, such a great moment.
And then, of course, Frankie, starting to realize he's seeing everything that the Straw Hats are doing. He's finally seeing, I think, Robin for who she is for the first time. Which even gives significance earlier to what he said on the train, because even though in that moment he might have thought differently of Robin, he still told someone who he thought could be potentially this world-ending person that her existence was not a crime. So when he later kind of switches and goes like, oh, I finally know who you are, and you're not this bad of a person.
You're not this devil that I've been told about.
Yeah, then you really go like, oh, wow. Then when he said that in the train car, that your existence is a crime, he was telling that to like potentially an enemy or somebody, like potentially the bringer of destruction, the bringer of the apocalypse. So Frankie in that moment burns the blueprints in front of Spandam and says, good luck. Spandam, kicks him off the edge of the courthouse tower or whatever. Rocket Man and Kokoro the goat come flying through. They pick up the Straw Hats. They pick up Frankie, and Spandam is freaking out. Gets his elephant that's been in the background the whole time, which is actually a sword that ate an elephant fruit, which
is literally the elephant in the room.
Yes, and
that
his
you're like,
secret
why
weapon,
does he have an elephant? And Oda never addresses it.
Yeah,
and then finally addresses it.
Well, he talked about having a secret weapon way earlier,
but you never thought it was a freaking elephant.
Never, ever. And grabs Robin and flees to escape. Says if you think you're getting her, then you're crazy. They flee, and the Straw Hats have to go after her. Now we're gonna breeze really, really quickly just through these points. So we're gonna go more in depth in part 2 because this does fall in line with a lot more of stuff that happens in part 2. But essentially, the Straw Hats are now going to be paired off with these CP9 members, and they're it's so funny because they first meet, I forget this guy's name, Fukuro, and he tells them the game that's about to be played, which is that they're going to have to find that Robin's still handcuffed. They're going to have to find the corresponding key that matches her set of handcuffs because they're indestructible. And Luffy's like, I'm not playing this game. I'm going right after them. And the rest of them, in order to... While Luffy's taking care of business, they're still gonna need the key. So they're like, we'll work on that. You go. You don't let them stall you for time. You go. We'll hang back. So they each kind of all pair off, and we get to see Kaku's devil fruit ability, which is that he's a giraffe, and it's just such a funny scene in the manga and in the anime. His transformation, his beast form. Sogeking and Zoro are kind of paired up. Sogeking has this great, brilliant idea to use the Sea Prism handcuffs to use on the enemies, but he ends up getting cuffed to Zoro, which would be a great reality show, by the way. 24 hours cuffed together, Zoro and Sogeking edition. Sanji's fighting Khalifa and has to swap out for Nami fighting Khalifa because Sanji's too much of a gentleman. And Luffy is again on the way to Robin. And Chimney has told him that there's a way through an underground tunnel because she heard Spandam's loudmouth blabbing about it. And to get to the iron doors, Luffy goes Gear 3, resulting in him turning into a chibi.
A
Luffy.
chibi, a 3-year-old. Gear 3-year-old
Gear
Luffy.
3-year-old! That was good.
Thank you. My hands are sweaty.
And I do really want to say too, we'll retouch or we'll touch on those things again. This is a longer episode, but that Kaku giraffe stuff was hilarious.
Yeah.
And the Sogeking moments.
I mean, hilarious. The rooster, I was laughing so hard. Just the rooster's face of just like staring him down. He's like, why is he staring like that? So hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was just a refreshing little comedic little comedic chapter
after a bunch of heavy stuff.
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah. But that is where we're going to end it for this episode. You're gonna wanna tune in and stay tuned for part 2 because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how we're gonna outdo ourselves with the cosplay and with everything that we've done today. But we finally did it. We finally gave you the Robin cosplay you've all been asking for.
Give us suggestions too, because we kind of get caught up in what we think would be best. But let us know. I mean, I love Robin with all my heart, and this made me love her more. And it is my honor to be cosplaying her today.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a Straw Hat now. I've read part 1 of Enies Lobby, and that's the thing. If any of them were handcuffed or if any of them were taken capture by, it doesn't matter who, by God. If they were taken captive by God, Luffy and the Straw Hats would show up to save them. And I feel like I'm an honorary Straw Hat now. I'm in it. This first part of this continued or continuation of an arc was so incredible that I'm a freaking One Piece head for life now, dude. I mean, I was already in, but now I'm drowning. I'm drowning because I ate a devil fruit and I can't swim. Okay.
Oh, I thought you just couldn't swim because you can't.
What? Because I can't what?
You can't swim. I thought.
I can't swim because what?
Oh, just in general.
I'm buoyant. They call me the buoyant.
Yeah.
I actually can swim because I got thrown into a pool, and that's how I learned to swim. My dad said, it's a survival instinct.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, we're not gonna do this. Play this little game where I teach you how to swim. We're just gonna throw you in. You're gonna figure it out because it's evolution. And I don't know if he was right or wrong, but I survived and I learned how to swim.
You're here today to tell
And
the
I'm
tale.
here today. But yes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I know it's been a longer episode, but this warranted a long conversation. This was amazing, incredible. It's already on the way to being one of my absolute favorite One Piece arcs of all time. And I understand that you can't have this without Water 7, so this and Water 7 are going down as a favorite of mine. You're going to want to stay tuned for part 2. And before we go, we have to shout out and thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon members. It's because of you guys and your support that we are able to do things like the Robin cosplay that Mehgan has donned and things like building this Sogeking mask, which was not easy to do. And as promised, really quickly, while you see the names of all of our wonderful, beautiful, amazing Patreon members scrolling by, I'll also throw up some pictures here of the process. It was a long process that this is what you're seeing now is a V2 version. V1 version, I got frustrated and I broke it. Okay. I took a hobby mask, which you're going to see some pictures of. I put like toilet paper rolls as eyes and I was going to put cereal boxes.
I mean, it started to look good.
Yeah. It started to look good, but I covered it in spackle.
Yeah.
Which is not a very sturdy substance or material. When it dries, it's so kind of soft, it's like the stuff from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And every time I would sand it or something, it would crack. So ultimately the picture you're seeing probably here is where I just got frustrated and I crumbled it all. And then I started a new project where I took boxes and I made it all from scratch, reinforced it with some fiberglass resin, and painted it, sanded it, plastic wood instead of plastic wood instead of spackle, paint, weathering, clay, and yeah, it's reinforced, it's strong, it's sturdy, and it is the mask that you see today. And again,
that thing's awesome.
The money for the materials to make this. Thank you, Mehgan. Thank you for saying that. The money for the materials to make this was actually not very expensive at all. Like you could see in the back, it is just cereal boxes and stuff like that. But it was because of your support and is because of your support that we can do these things, that we can take time to dedicate to these things for supplies. We're not out there, blowing thousands of dollars on things. We're using the resources we have available to us to elevate the production value of our show.
Yes.
And you're the reason that we have the financial freedom to do that. So the Robin cosplay and the Soge mask that you're seeing today is all because of you and your support. So thank you. And if you would like to become a Patreon member or a YouTube member, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod or click join on this video. And that will give you early access to all of our episodes, as well as access to our exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, Volume 1 Extra. And that is at our lowest tier, which starts at $3 on Patreon.
Oh my God.
And
He's gonna pass
$5
out.
on YouTube. Patreon.com/volume1pod. Mehgan, tell them what else they need to know if they want to support us for free $99.
You can also become a part of the algorithm gang. You can comment on any of our videos, a comment, a comma, a period, or anything in between, and it acts as a free tip to us and really helps us out, push our episodes and videos out to the world, and it acts as a free tip to us. Any type of engagement really does help us out. It is free, and we read every comment you guys post.
I'll say it is equal, and I'll say because people supporting period means the world to us.
Yes.
And that's coming from both of us. And if you made it this long and you know somebody that loves One Piece, show them this episode.
Yeah.
Share it with them. Share the love. Spread it wide open. Spread the love. Spread the love. Spread it. And at the end of the episode, I get into a little I go pastor mode,
Yeah, you do.
But
You're feeling it.
I am feeling it. I'm feeling the love. But that is gonna do it for another Done Piece episode. Stay tuned for part 2. It's gonna be a banger, an emotional payoff to all the payoff that we got in part 1. You're not gonna want to miss it. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro. That's always the same and never changes, which today is...
we can do the laugh.
Oh yeah, let's do the laugh.
We can do the laugh.
Let's do the laugh. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I want to live.
That was good.
I don't know whose voice that is. It's my voice.
It's your voice if you're Robin.
If I was, that's my impression. This is me if I was Robin.